right, so today's webinar is about how we can actually increase revenue by saving lost appointments with your front desk. And, I just want to share a bit story. Everyone needs to know how I met Jerry. So I met Jerry Durham 5 years ago. Is it 5 years ago, Jerry, you think?
It may be more.
Okay, 5 years ago in Las Vegas, right? And we were there at it was a clinic owner
PPS.
convention, PPS. There's a couple of thousand of owners there. It was the American Physical Therapy Association conference there, and I met Jerry for the first time, and I still remember that day, right? And so for the people that know Jerry, Jerry's on the right here, and then Daryl Yarley is on the left, and that was when my life changed, meeting Jerry, right? I finally met someone who understood me, right? And I still remember the words that Jerry told me, is that, and we talked about this over long beers, is that clinics don't have a marketing problem. They actually have a training and conversion problem. And so from that day, me and Jerry became best friends, and so I want to take this opportunity to welcome Jerry. So Jerry, why don't you tell why don't you tell the community about yourself and what type of work you do with like front desk training? Because, in my eyes, you're the front desk training expert in the rehab world. And so tell us what you do and how you help owners.
So I'm a physio by training who hasn't touched a patient in probably 5 to 6 years now. I've exited my own clinic up to 5 offices. And long story short, about halfway through my journey, about 10 years in exactly, we did a complete change on our model. And the day we changed our model, I'll never forget this, and I share this every time. One of my first gut reactions, I didn't know what it meant. I just thought, well, if we're gonna change our model, we need to start answering our phone differently. I'll never forget that. So I knew something needed to change at the front desk. And that was the day I became more interested in what I think we commonly call the client life cycle, the client experience, or the patient experience, and understood that, because remember, I was a provider too and an owner, right? And the whole world always revolved around what was going on with me and the patient. And then I started to open up and go, wait a minute, there is a business to be run here. And all the great businesses in the world understand 2 things: their client life cycle and the role of every single team member on that client life cycle. So if you step back and think about what I just said, your front desk is the entry point into your business. And so it was at that time that I started taking as much information in as I could. I started going to conferences, call center conferences, conferences about the front desk and the role of this phone call and first interaction. And here I am 11 years later, and again, met you. And if Rick doesn't remember, the first time I met Rick and he told me about CallHero, the first thing out of my mouth was, when are you bringing it south? When are you bringing it south of the border? Because I knew it was a vital tool. And I bring that up because that's going to be part of the conversation today. And that's why Rick and I hit it off so well. And we've shared so many conversations around this front desk. So
how much, and so Jerry, you're pretty humble. You run a front desk certification program, which means you're training hundreds of front desks, Do you want to quickly talk about that? And
sure.
And maybe while training all these different front desks, whether it's clinics in Canada or clinics in the US, maybe you could share with us kind of what your biggest takeaway from training these hundreds of front desks.
So by the way, yes, I've had Canadian practices in my front desk training, and actually some of my best students of course, they're all my best students, wink, wink. Yet I will guarantee you some of my top students have come from Canada. So I want to go on point to say I've had people from the UK in my program. We've had people from Canada again, where I think someone from Australia. So this is just about a front desk role in rehab. And, the biggest takeaways is, I'm going to tell you, the number one thing is your front desk understands what I just said about this client life cycle and their role in taking care of people. The limiting factor in the business has been the owner not embracing that this front role is far more vital to the company than just someone that, you know, takes notes, does insurance stuff, greets the patients at the front desk. That actually this phone call is actually what's setting up success for the patient business.
I love what you just said there, Jerry, because, you know, like, you know, most people know here, I mentor a lot of owners, and a lot of time we work with like fixing the clinician, right? And it's way easier mentoring and fixing your front desk operations and fixing your, like, your clinician operations, right? You know, way easier, right?
To that note, Rick, I will guarantee everybody here a larger ROI on working with your front desk than working with your clinicians. It's that simple.
I'm curious right now in the chat, maybe in the chat you could type in, like, you know, are you more focused on your front desk operations, or are you focused on maybe your clinician operations, right? So maybe put in front desk or clinician, like what are you focusing mostly right now on your business?
We're not going to judge, by the way.
Okay, front desk. FD is front desk, right? Focusing on both. Rhonda, hi from the community. Okay. Yeah, it's way easier for on the front desk. Now, mind you, I've always believed that, like, if you can mentor the clinicians, like, you have way bigger gains there, but it's way hard to get their buy-in because there's a lot of ego associated with being a physio, being a chiro, being a clinician, right? So I want to quickly share my clinic owner journey for the new people that haven't listened to me talk before. I just want to say that I'm just like you, right? You know, when it comes to like talking about new patients, I get super excited compared to operations. You know, I think for most entrepreneurs, like, you get super excited because, like, it's like the fun stuff, marketing is the sexy stuff. And when you do the operations, which is like front desk and some of the other stuff that, you know, that Jerry's going to talk about, it's kind of boring, right? You know, but that's actually where the money is. Would you agree, Jerry?
100%.
And so I did what, so I did what everyone does. Like, it's not just about putting money, it's also putting time into marketing, right? And so I did that with my first clinic. I did that with like my 5th clinic, right? You know, and I did that right up to my 127th clinic, you know? And so at our peak of running all these clinics, you know, we were spending $65,000 a month on Facebook and Google, right? Woo. That's a lot of money. So I'm curious, like right now in the chat, like maybe you could type in the chat, like how much money are you spending on advertisement or marketing each month? You know, is it $500? Is it $1,000? Is it $2,000? Like how much are you spending right now? Like, you know, we got Nick spending $5,000 a month, Rhonda, $1,000 a month, right? You know, 4,000, 2,000, 2,000. So, you know, like we're spending a lot of that effort on marketing. And like I said, I know a thing about marketing because we spent a lot of money like back then. So, you know, like most of us, like you know, I've set many high unrealistic marketing goals and I failed many times, but it's normal. It's part of the process. And usually when we talk to like advertisement companies or marketing agencies, they throw all these like numbers at us. Oh yeah, your impressions are up, your clicks are up, your traffic is up, you know, and then everything looks good. But then when at the end of the day, when I was looking at my calendar, I was like, I still see empty white spots, right? And it's like, and you know, I still remember this because this is like when my brain was switching. I was like, something had to change, right? You know, and I don't know if you guys know, as you get more clinics and as you hire more staff and as you spend more money on marketing, everyone around you sees you spending money. They want raises. Who agrees? If you agree, can you type yes in the chat? You know, as you're doling out money, as you expand, like people want more money, right? And then you're stuck in this situation where you're like, oh man, you know, I can't afford it, you know, and back in my days is that like, you know, I did like I said, what most everyone does. I'm dishing on this money in marketing, and if people actually knew my bank account with all these clinics, I was barely making payroll, you know. And so it's not unrealistic for the staff to constantly be asking for raises because they see you doling out money, right? You know? And so that's actually when like, I was like, oh my God, I had this like epiphany, right? You know? And that was when I saw a patient come into the clinic, at one of our clinics with like a cake, right? And I was like, I've been doing it wrong the entire time. I've been chasing marketing trends, but what really I should be doing is taking control of my operations. How can I take control of systems? How can I take control of training? How can I take control of my leadership? Because I want more cake. Who wants more cake? If you want more cake, type yes in the chat, please, right? We want more cake, right? And so, Jerry talks about the patient experience life cycle. This is the same thing, like how can I improve my patient experience, Like if you look at the top here, you'll see my little pointer. Like we spend a lot of work driving traffic, right? We're driving like web traffic, we're driving SEO, like yellow pages, we're doing like workshops, we're doing like Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And then this is when the ball drops, What happens when we get this traffic? Are we converting them into phone calls, right? And then are we converting the phone calls to the next step is into assessments? And then the next step is, are we graduating every single patient that graduates from their treatment plans, right? And from that, guess what happens? If they graduate, have an amazing experience, because everything is tight along this funnel, you're gonna get an online review. And that online review all of a sudden generates like referrals. And that's like the word of mouth. What do you say, Jerry?
Dude, I love it. I agree 100%.
Okay, cool. And the secret, the key really is like, how can you make your patients and your staff, right, make it feel like family? Because if you can have that family feeling, people will come back and people will tell more people. So this exercise is about how can we focus on patients who are already calling the clinic, and how can we focus on patients who are already coming to the clinic, right? Versus trying to just like fill up like, like traffic on the top, when like clearly your funnel's leaking. So for me, like I had this big shift. I started shifting my resources, like my time, my money, from marketing to operations, right? And we talked about like, the various types of operations, and so I also started paying my teams more, because I actually want them to hit targets, and that's where, if you have targets, you can start setting up pay for performance. If they hit these numbers, I want to pay them more, right? Because the cost of turnover is really expensive. It's a lot easier for me to make like incentivize and get someone be super productive, and pay them bonuses than constantly deal with like churn of people. So the result with like the clinics was that once we had that, like I said, that mind shift from marketing to operations, we saw an average of 31% increase like in the revenues across all clinics. And so, as you guys know, like, that was kind of the exercise we did like at PT Health, and we took this business to like a 1,400 like employee, and we exited. And my biggest takeaway from this venture with PT Health was, I'd rather pay 10 employees really well than 1,400 employees minimum wage. Because every 2 months I have to like have company churn, and then training and all that stuff adds up. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I want to find out from everyone here. Type in the chat, what do you want to learn from Jerry and Rick today? Relating to like front desk and front desk training. Type in the chat. How to make more money. Yeah. How to convert more phone calls, patient retention, better ways to engage your front desk to take extra staff. How to ensure the staff is seeing the right things, front desk metrics, top 3 things to maximize patient revenues. How to bring this approach when people are used to the old ways. That's an interesting one. It's getting buy-in from like business partners that don't agree with you, or maybe like some of these, I guess the older guard. Okay, this is good. Do you see anything on here, Jerry, that you're surprised with? So you're on mute, Jerry.
Okay, good. No, nothing surprises me, dude. All this is, Matt, yeah.
Cool.
How to make them more accountable, increase money, right?
Cool. So my goal for you guys today is how to, my goal for today is like how you can actually make more money with your front desk. And part of that means like saving lost appointments. And so the agenda for today is we're going to show you the exact metrics you need to, we're going to show you the exact metrics you need to start measuring to ensure you're not losing money at the front end, right? I'm going to talk about like how to pay your front desk more. How do you set up like some of this performance pay, like incentive structures, right? Without breaking the bank. And if you don't have money, there's other ways you can reward your staff that doesn't cost money as well. Jerry's going to dive into like, what do you say on the very first phone call so that you actually develop that patient rapport so that they actually show up on day one. Also, you have a higher conversion rate. And also by the time they see your clinician, you're not going to have like a high discharge rate because that all starts from the very first conversation. And then how do you easily train your front desk when you don't have time? Right? Because we're all busy, owners are busy, managers are busy, and front desk is busy. How do we find time to actually do this stuff, right? And last thing is that like, I'm gonna show you, how do you win back lost patients who say, I'll call you back, or who call you, but they didn't leave a voice message? How do you win these people back? And I'm going to show you also like how CallHero could easily help you do all this. You don't have to do it manually. But everything we're going to show you, you could do it manually. But I'm going to actually show you how CallHero could actually show you so that you can save a bit of that time. And then if you stay until the end, Jerry actually has this like front desk phone checklist. On there, it actually has 10 things that you have to say on these phone calls. Jerry's going to go through that. But at the very end, I'm going to give that. I'm going to give you the link so you could download it. And plus, we're going to have Q&A. So you can ask Jerry and I anything right to the very end, you know? And if this is not what you're expecting, this is a good time to leave right now. So who's excited? If you're excited, type yes in the chat. If not, get out. Okay, nice. Cool, cool. Looking forward to this. All right, let's get going. You ready, Jerry? Like, I don't think anyone left. Actually, no, one person left. You should leave. All right, so we're going to number one. What is exact front desk metric?
2 more came on, Rick, so there you go.
All right, what is the exact front desk metric you need to measure, right? You know? And so I'm going to show this like little chart first. This is important, is that this whole game, whether it's front desk or even, yeah, let's just keep it front desk. This whole game with the front desk is how can we keep them accountable, right? So number one is you need to actually be able to have metrics. We're going to talk about what metrics Jerry likes. So that way we can actually have weekly meetings with them to keep them accountable, right? Amen. And then if they're not hitting these metrics, we have to be providing training for them. And then we're going to measure the training to see whether the metrics change. Everyone has a number. And if you don't have a number, then this is the right section for you, okay? So in the chat, I want to find out from everyone here, what front desk metric are you using at your clinic? Type that in. And for the people that are late to arrive, please change your chat to all panelists and attendees. So this way everyone could see your stuff, okay? So everyone can see your answers. Okay, new patients, what do you see? New patients scheduled,
I see none. I see none.
Cancellation percentage, that's not bad, Jerry, right? I like that one.
No, cancellation's good, but I see a lot of none. Oh, CallHero stats, go figure.
So Laura's, I think Laura is from Alberta, right? From Momentum Health, I think you guys have 9 clinics, am I right? Yeah, say hi to Wendy for me. So yeah, cancellation, I like that number. What else is there? Let's see, cancellation rate.
There's a lot of none, which is therapist booking, new assessment, no shows.
No show. One thing that's important with metrics for like your any metric that you have with front desk, it has to be something that they can actually contribute. They have to be able to like do it every single day. If you can't do that, then it's the wrong metric for them. Okay, Jerry, I'm curious, like what metrics do you like?
How many you want?
Just the top one. Yeah, the top ones.
I'll give you the top one. I'll give you the top one, right? I say conversion rate. So conversion rate is phone call to arrival for front desk. Front desk owns that 130%, dude.
Okay.
Conversion rate.
Yeah. So I'm in the CallHero world, we call that booking rate. So how many phone calls did you get? How many new patients did you get, and how many booked converted into a phone call, into an assessment,
A
right?
number one metric for the front desk. A number one.
Okay. What else do you like, Jerry?
I also like, I think I shared this with you, and just we'll go, south of the border here, copay collection rate, money collected each visit. That's 100% on the front desk also.
Yeah. So
Money
for all the Americans right there, like this is a number you should be measuring with your front desk every single week, right? What is your copay collection rate?
Yeah. So if you're supposed to collect $1,000, right? My goal was 98% collected. So at the end of the week, we should have collected $980 over the front desk. That was copay collection rate. So
before we go through the rest of this, like there's this concept, called behavior metrics versus outcome metrics, right? So behavior metrics is you can measure the behavior of. I'll give you an example. A behavior, like I like behavior metrics because if part of my behavior metric is I want my front desk to answer the phones, then the outcome metric is actually the assessment, right? So if you could actually have as much behavior metrics and measure that each day or each week, you're gonna actually drive the outcome that you want. Versus telling your front desk is like, I want more assessments. What are the steps that needs to happen for the front desk to be able to get more assessments? So in that case, it is what, Jerry?
Yeah.
Answer the phone.
Answer the phone, dude. That's always number one in my front desk task.
Answer the phone and convert that phone call into an assessment, right?
Exactly.
And if like this is called win back calls, and if they did not book on the same day, call them the next day to win them back, right? So we talked about that. So we talked about answer rates, booking rates. Hey, guys and girls, I put here as like, there's a lot of front desk metrics. This depends on you're working on. The ones on the left in the blue is what I call primary metrics, like I love, and the ones on the right is like secondary, is more metrics you could do, but it really depends on what metrics are available for you to collect, right? So we talked about answer rates, we talked about booking rates. I like this metric, AR over 90 days. So how much money is outstanding after 90 days?
That's why the copay collection rate in the States, because think about it again, if I have you focused on copay collection rate, that would be the behavior that would fix this, just for context of what Rick was just saying.
Yeah. So especially if my front desk is actually responsible with AR and collection, I want to find out what the AR over 90 days is. Is it 5K, 30K, 20K?
Real quick, Rick, someone asked, how do we measure booking rate? That's call to scheduled.
Yeah, so that is how many phone calls you got or actually opportunities, and how many was booked, right?
Simple. Yeah, it's simple enough. It's exactly what it defines.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. The other metric I like is Google reviews, right? We have to do this, everybody. It's way easier for your front desk to implement a Google review process than like doing a cattle call with your clinicians, right? So and so, like that is a good metric to be able to have for a front desk, and if you look at clinics in your area, you're going to see clinics that have 300 Google reviews. And like that is a front desk process. And why not tie that back into compensation plans? It's cheaper for you to, I'd rather give money to the marketing company. I'd rather give money to the front desk to give me a Google review than give that money to a marketing company. Who agrees? Find a way to compensate your people more and tie it back into incentives, right? All right, other metrics that you have is we talk about win back calls. So win back calls are calls that didn't book and you call them back the next day, or they are like, all those people that call your clinic and they don't leave a voice message is winning them back, right? This one, Daryl Yardley likes. What is your cancel no-show like rebooking percentage? Right? Or like, who does fall-offs here, right? Which is the people that self-discharge, you're calling them back. Type yes or no if you do fall-offs. You call fall-off. Okay. So that's a great front desk metric. If you get your front desk to do the fall-offs, what is your fall off rebooking percentage? Right? And if you have a weekly scoreboard, you know, for the people like that are in my community where like we coach, like add a column on your weekly scoreboard where you actually put fall off booking percentage and tie this back into the front desk, you know, book to prescribe ratios, right? So if the clinician uses a treatment plan and they prescribe 18 visits, I want to make sure my front desk is booking 18 of the 18. And then Jerry talked about the copay collection rate. Jerry, do you want to talk about Net Promoter Score? That was a big one for you.
Yeah, the Net Promoter Score, which is a one question review for those of you who don't know it. And by the way, this is definitely free online. You can just Google Net Promoter Score. You ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer a friend or family member to us? And they give you a number. And then what I like to do is down below is ask, please share a word, a sentence, a phrase, a paragraph about why you gave us that score. And then what I would also do is ask again, based on your provider, how likely are you? And then based on your front desk experience, how likely are you? So I can gather all three of those. I get an overall, I get my providers, and then I get the front desk on Net Promoter Score.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like Net Promoter Score. And anyone that gives you like less than a 9, make it a front desk operations to like call them back, right? Hey, you know, like, are you feeling better, right? Blah, blah, blah. Like, how can I serve you better, right? All right, there's some good questions here. Is it better for the front?
I like Luke's question. Can we go there first?
What's that?
Does fall off calls always fall to front desk versus therapist?
Oh yeah.
This is my drop-offs before third visit, Rick. Can I answer that?
Sure.
Thank you. So if someone drops off before the third visit, it's a front desk responsibility. If they drop
after the third visit?
Before third visit. If someone drops off after the evaluation is visit 1 up to visit 3, it's the front desk responsibility. If they
Why do you say that?
Well, because I say value was not established appropriately and expectations were not set or managed.
What happens if you have a shitty therapist?
No, dude. You know what? No, because in the process of understanding that whole life cycle after visit 3, then it's the therapist's responsibility.
So this is interesting. I love me and Jerry, like we have interesting debates. So you're saying that after the third, you're saying that after the, right before, up to the third visit, like you're saying that this is the front desk responsibility. Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
Because if someone drops off after the eval, if someone drops off after the eval and even first visit, their expectations were not set appropriately. They did not know what to expect. And they showed up and they're just like, no value was delivered. And that is not always on the provider. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, interesting.
Front desk. And that
so
is managing expectations.
So I have a different perspective. So back to Monica's question is that if I was a patient, I would want the clinician to call me, right? Because that, like, you know, because no one does that. So if a clinician called me, I would like definitely come in, right? You know, now, mind you, is that if you have some clinicians that don't want to do this because they're independent contractors and they don't feel like they don't want to be involved, then you have no choice but to the front desk. But I think if you have a committed and motivated therapist, like my preference is do it. But I actually like what Jerry's saying too, right? I would give that a try.
No. Oh, we said call, excuse me. The front desk owns the relationship up to visit, up to the provider meeting them. The front desk owns it.
Okay.
Now, the provider has taken that relationship at eval time. Now, let's clarify here. If they drop off before visit 3, I say it's on the front desk. Who's going to call them back? We might go back and forth on that.
Okay.
But after visit 3, definitely provider. And maybe even before, we might look at that experience. And by the way, documentation through my 10-point checklist, if we document it properly, we'll know exactly why they dropped off.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. And the provider owns that relationship after the eval.
I like this metric. I asked Daryl Yardley and he gave me this metric. Is drop offs before the third visit, you know?
No, I give you that
well,
one.
Actually, Actually, that's your number. No, you're right. Drop offs before third visit. You're right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Everyone, take a screenshot of this. This is good. And then you can pick and choose. Yeah, you can pick and choose what you feel like you've implemented in your systems or what metrics you have, and then use that as metrics. You can start setting goals with your front desk team.
The first two on the primary list have to be, you have to measure those though. You don't get to pick and choose those.
All right, I'm moving forward. Screenshot, photo, cool. All right, here's a good example. Raj from Foundation, they're in Toronto, right? Look, these guys have 248 Google reviews. These guys are crushing it. And guess what? It's a front desk process for them, right? And they got 3 locations in Toronto. And like, you know, if you've been to their clinic, they actually have this like in their lunchroom. They actually post like metrics like for the entire team, you know, on their like their April stats is like, we got 260 reviews. Here's our answer rates. Here's our booking rates. And then everyone actually has accountability of what's going on, right? So I'm wondering, maybe the chat, type yes or no. Who actually shares their, maybe some of their business metrics with like their front desk teams? Maybe type yes or no. Okay, cool. Nice to see some yeses in there. Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the next one here. The next one is how to pay your front desk more without breaking the bank. So the poll's not working, but just type in the chat. So I want to find out who right now is actually paying their front desk bonuses when they actually achieve, like, let's say like a quarterly or monthly target. Type in yes or no. Okay, it's kind of, there's a lot of no's. Luke wants to introduce his ASAP. Absolutely. Okay. Every paycheck. No. Ooh, I like Nathaniel. But there's more no's, right?
Yeah, there is.
So Jerry, what, like, you know, you train hundreds of front desks. Like, what are your thoughts about this?
I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm gonna throw in one caveat. Hold on one second. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna throw in one caveat. You better hire properly. You better hire someone who's motivated by bonuses. I tried to bonus people who are hired under salary and it didn't work. So I'm just going to throw that in. If I know my baseline numbers, so think about the metrics. Let's just go to my conversion rate, right? Calls to scheduled, or sorry, calls to arrived. If I know my zero line is, I'm just going to throw a number out, 100 new patients arrive a month, then I could possibly, right? You know, and I know I want 110, I could bonus from 111 above, and I would set no roof. So you must know your business metrics. You must know how many new patients you need in the door every month. They get paid for that. And then everything above that baseline, wherever you set your baseline, if that's a 10, 20, 30% margin, then they get bonused above that. And I believe that's the simplest thing. You could just bonus them off that one network, because if they're putting more people on the schedule, then your top line and your bottom line should be growing.
Yeah, and the way I think owners have to start and managers starts viewing like marketing is that, like, if you treat your front desk as salespeople and you're giving them like sales bonuses, take some of that money that you're already spending and, you know, and incentivize your front desk.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great point. Right? Yeah, great point.
Like you have no problem spending $2,000, $5,000 like a month to the marketing companies, but then when it comes to like setting bonuses or giving raises, like we're stuck there, right? Because we treat it as an operating expense, but really it is a sales and marketing expense. Totally. Who gets that?
Totally.
Like type yes or no if this is making sense. Boom, there we go, Nick. Right? Okay, so let's talk about how we do it, right? Okay. Oh, I love this question. How much does like a front desk turnover cost you each month? If someone quits on you, how much does it cost you per month? Right? Well, let's think about wages. Let's just assume people get minimum, like they make $15 an hour. So what is that? Let's just say they make $3,000 like a month, right? Is that safe? $3,000 a month. So how long does it take you to how long does it take you to train someone? How long does it take you to hire someone? So yeah, there's some good numbers. Kylie, Bola, like 2K, 6K. Yeah, like I would say easily like 90 days, a month and a half, right? So if you start factoring in like bad hires and like not creating an incentive structure that keeps people around so they could turn this into careers, staff turnover is really expensive, right? 3 weeks train plus hire, and plus you got to put your staff to train them too, right, Jerry?
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
there is. And by the way, let's talk about all the lost phone calls on top of all that, right? The
Oh
last
yeah.
answered calls on top of all that.
Totally, 100%. So I've tried everything with compensating front desk, and what I find is I like this concept called 90-day challenges, right? Because everyone, like the front desk especially has short attention spans, right? And also our business requirements like also changes so rapidly at clinic because we're implementing different stuff. So this concept of a 90-day challenge is something where we set up a bonus and we create a challenge every 90 days. And on that, we set 3 to 5 metrics, and if they hit these 90-day targets, we pay them monthly. So with this way, we keep them we keep them motivated, right? Because the thing that doesn't work with bonuses is if you pay them at the end of the year or 6 months later, people don't remember that stuff. People it has to be hand to mouth, right? So if you can make it every single month, even better, make it weekly, that would be ideal, right? And then part of this 90-day challenges is keep the challenge fresh by rotating new metrics, and then you could cap it at like $500 a month, right, or $1,000 a month, right? Here's a question. Can you explain how you pay the monthly but you don't get the results? Yeah, if they don't hit the challenge, they don't get the money.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
and you may want to question whether they are the right person. So Nick, in this case, I would do $500 per receptionist. But once again, the metrics that you choose should be should make sure that it more than covers that, right? If that makes any sense, So I'm gonna give you an example of something that that we're rolling out with one of our one-on-one coaching client that I think they have 15 clinics. And so here is a good example. So their 90-day challenge for this for this front desk is there's 4 metrics. 3 are the core metrics we talked about: answer rates, booking rates, AR over 60 days, right? And then for this quarter, we introduce a new metric, which is Google reviews. So we set these targets, and if you hit these targets, right, then if you hit this target, you get $100, $200, $100, $100. If you add all this stuff up, it's like $500 a month. What do you think, Jerry? Do you like this?
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Is that 500 American or Canadian though, Rick?
It's whatever country you're in.
All right, good. No, I like it. I like it. I like the 90-day mindset around this.
Yeah, I like 90 days because most people can't see more than 90 days, right? You just gotta make sure that the metrics that you have on here will actually generate you the revenue and the profit so you could pay for them, right? So who likes this? Oh, there's a question. You split this within the team, right? Once again, you choose what number makes sense for you. But in my case is that let's just say I'm paying a front desk $35,000 to $40,000 a year. If I could create an incentive plan where each quarter it's fresh on new metrics, 90-day challenge, I want to pay them an extra 10, 15% on top, which works out to be $500 a month, right? Also, who likes this? Who likes this? Type Rick, yes or no in the chat if you like this 90-day challenge.
Rick, also what's important is that your revenue per new patient. That bonus, that's why the bonus gets big. And that's why I talk to Rick and other people about, sometimes the difference with the states. In my practice, when I left, our average revenue per new patient booked was $1,500. So if we hit our goal and they were achieving over, I had no problem giving out 500.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like, let's just say right now, like Nick had a good question, is like, how do you set like these targets, right? So let's just say Google reviews right now, like, it's end of the month, September 30th. We have 100 Google reviews, okay? So we have 100 Google reviews, and maybe the target I set for the front desk team is like, I want us to hit like 110, right? Or I want 115, I want 5 a month, right? And the sooner you get it, the sooner you get this money, right? Or like, and here's the thing, you have to look at this is that like, would you pay your marketing company like $100 to get you an extra 15 Google reviews? Like I would. Would you, Jerry?
Oh yeah, no problem there.
Like once again, like you have to like, oh, there's a question. I don't understand. How is this a 90-day challenge, but you pay every single month? So the targets are set every 90 days. And when they hit these targets, then they get paid monthly. Does that make sense, Caroline?
Every 30 days, every 30 days, right?
Every 30 days. It's just that we reset these targets every 90 days, right? Yeah. Like once again, you could adjust it, like as long as it's base per employee, not the whole front end. Yeah, like you could pick and choose if you wanted to, but once again, like everyone talks, so like if you have for one person, you don't have another person, you're gonna have bad culture, right? So maybe what you could do is actually have like, you can have everyone do individual targets. If you have one girl working on AR over 7, the other girl maybe should be working on like maybe fall offs, right? So you could pick and choose what they're working on, and if the people don't hit their numbers, they don't get their money, right? But if my AR is 7,000 like over like 60 days, for example, and like let's just say it's 10K, like and I give them a challenge of, I want you to like clean this up, get down to 7K. I know you keep on saying you're busy, but if they could bring it down from 10 to 7, I'm more than happy to give them $100 a month, right? Who likes this? Is this making sense?
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. Take a picture if you want this. 90-day challenge, $500 per month, right? Or 1,000, 2,000. If you're generous. When I look at some of the best clinics running, they're actually like when I dissect front desk who's been there the longest, and like they're willing to roll up like their sleeves like and do more than what most people do, most of them usually are paid pretty well, right? And so how can we actually do that without like how can we do it so that we have the right metrics so it actually makes sense, right? Okay, for the people who aren't ready to like pay their staff more, there's other ways to show appreciation too, right? You could write handwritten cards, by setting these targets. You could do public recognition in front of peers. You could take them like, guys, like we're gonna have this like 90-day challenge. If we do it, guess what? We're gonna do a team spa or pedicure event, right? Or I do a mani day.
I'll fight for that. I'll produce for the team spa day.
Or guess what? Like Cirque du Soleil is coming in town in Vancouver. I'm gonna get everyone Cirque du Soleil tickets. If we get our answer rates at 95%, we could be getting our A over whatever Google reviews X amount. Like you can still do that, or pay for gas, or pay for babysitter fees. Like these emotional experiences will give you just as much buy-in, right? Who's done something like this to be able to reward their front desk in the last 30 days? Like show appreciation that has nothing to do with money. Maybe type that in chat. This is really, really important, everybody.
Huge,
huge. It gives them a reason to work at your clinic besides money. Not everything is about, if they're only reason here to work for money, you probably have the wrong person, because they're not going to stay at your job very well. We had a conversation with one of our one-on-one coaching clients, and he hired this super ambitious like office manager, and this office manager is great, but like this office manager had has other motives, and really she was not going to be here. She wasn't going to be at the clinic for more than a year and a half, right? And like, and it was just ridiculous. So my point is that is that what Jerry said, make sure you hire the right person in the front. Cool. These are great ideas, right? Take a snapshot of this too. Who's liking the webinar so far? Finding something of value? All right, awesome. Anyone that says no, you may leave now. All right, Jerry. Jerry's next. What to say on the first call, right? So before you talk, Jerry, like I want to find out, like, if a new patient calls your clinic, how are you answering the phones right now? Like, what is your first couple sentences? Maybe type that in the chat. Share that with the rest of the team, community. What are you writing? Let's see. Let's see. Like, I remember what I used to do. Hello, ABC Physio Chiro Clinic. How can I help you? What else? All right. Thanks for calling. How may I help you? Thank you for calling ABC Physio. How can we help you? Yeah. Is that the standard response that you see most of the time with your coaching clients, Jerry?
Yeah. I'm just reading some of these.
I just want to thank everyone for sharing right now. Like the best way for us to improve our businesses is if everyone actually shares, right? So, and for the new people coming in, make sure in the chat you change it to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your response, right? That includes you, Marsha Dorsey. Change it to all panelists and attendees. Thank you. Calling the Unpain Clinic. Oh, I like that name, Unpain.
Unpain, yeah. I think I saw that after the Accelerate conference.
Okay, cool. So Jerry, tell me.
Yeah, there's my checklist.
Here's your checklist. Why don't you comment on what you've seen, and then and maybe like what you like or don't like about some of the responses.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Write this down. You have to understand when you have. I'm going to speak to the owners real quick, and then the front desk people are going to basically know if they were told to do it this way. You have to understand, are you trying to achieve business objectives on the first phone call? Or are you trying to make it about the person on the other end? Asking people their name, their date of birth, their diagnosis, if they've been here before, those are all business-led objectives, right? If I'm asking—
Transactional, right?
Very transactional, very commodity. I call it commoditization, right? You're commoditizing yourself. If you don't acknowledge them, write this down. If you don't acknowledge them, if you don't ask them permission-based questions, and if you don't allow them to share their story, and don't freak out, this isn't going to be a long phone call. Everybody's freaking out already. If you don't do those three things, then it's going to be transactional and you're going to commoditize it and you're going to complain because everybody only wants to know price. And if that's what you feel like at the end of the day, it's because you've allowed the conversation to go that way. So you'll see on the checklist is a balance and basically collect all the required data. If you do this right, you will collect the required data while the call is all about them because they'll be sharing their story. So are you making it about the business or are you making it about me? And I secret call all the time, and I've secret called Canadian clinics. It's all the same in that I hear some good things and I hear some bad things. And the bad things I typically hear is people getting people scheduled. And when people's goal is to get people scheduled on the first phone call, it turns into a transactional.
Yeah, and then it becomes like, how much is it? And then all of a sudden, why is your clinic more expensive than why is it $3.90 more expensive than like Synergy across the street?
You got it. You got it. And if you get through, if you start getting to number 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That is when it becomes, you move it away from the commodity and you make it a value conversation. Now it's, do you value what do you need from us? This is how we can give it to you, right? Here's the other thing. If you're scheduling people for their diagnosis, you have commoditized your practice.
Yeah, like a doctor's office, right? Like MD, right?
Got it. Yeah.
Don't run your, I'm giving you a tip. Don't run your clinic like a walk-in clinic. You will have terrible patient experience, right? You know, but like if I look at this checklist, once again, everyone who stayed till the end, I'm going to give you the link for this checklist and then you're going to have it. But like, if you look at like Jerry's checklist here, you know, like one of the big points I see here is like, you got to ask the right questions to get them to tell their story, you know?
You got it.
So what questions do you like, Jerry, to open up, like to get someone to talk about their story?
So if you acknowledge, if you ask permission-based questions, you then get to the point of saying, so Rick, what I'd like to do now is learn a little more about, don't forget, they called and said, hey, I need physio for my low back pain. Okay. Big deal, right? If you schedule them for physio for their low back pain, it's transactional.
Or chiro, or massage, or peds.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So just say provider. I like
Jerry, we have a diverse audience here, okay? It's not just PT.
No, it's cool.
Okay.
Cool. So just provider. If I then say to you, so Rick, I'm glad you called here. So I acknowledge we can help you. Boom. So Rick's going, And then I say, so Rick, what I would like to do next is get your story from you. Because what I want to make sure is that we, ABC physiotherapy or chiro or massage, are the right fit for you, right? And then when I do that, I'm setting Rick up to know that this call is now turned into a call about him and not me. And then what I do is I prompt him, and you guys can work this, you tweak it a little different for wherever you're from and whatever conversation flows. I'm then going to ask Rick to say, tell me when this started, how long it's been going on, and what you've done since you've injured it.
I love those questions.
Yeah. Prompts, they're going to share that they went to see a doctor. Oh, what doctor, Rick? And you can write it down real quick, right? Oh, and they'll share with you they got some other treatments or they tried some other things, right? So you're going to find those things out. And then all you have to do is fill in the blanks instead of doing a checkbox.
So all those questions, guys, it's going to be in the checklist at the end for Jerry. And I got a slide on that so you could take pictures as well. So, but that was good, Jerry. That was like really, really good.
Write down, acknowledge, ask permission-based questions, allow them to tell their story.
Okay. And like, what else is on here? Like, you talk about setting expectations. What do you mean by that?
So any provider on this call knows this, is that expectations correlate with outcomes. So if we want to create a happy patient, a patient that is moving towards the results they want to get, then we must find out what they expect from us. People that believe hands-on care will get them better, do better with hands-on care. People who believe that exercise will get them better, do better with exercise.
So how do you find that out? How do you find that out? So
during that story, Rick, you're sharing with me that, yes, I've had some, so let's say they're calling to schedule physio. Let's just use this example. And so Rick is sharing with me during his journey with this back pain, he has received some massage in the past that has helped him to feel better. And I would say, Rick, so what you're telling me is you've had hands-on massage treatment that has helped your back pain? Oh, yes, I have. Is this something you're looking to get again? Yes. Boom. Expectation. Hands-on work for the low back pain. Rick, is there anything that you experienced during this time that didn't help you? And if he shares anything, I write it down.
I love that. I love that, because I think one thing that most people don't do is like when they find out that this patient's had chiropractics before, they don't dive deeper to ask them what they didn't like about it. Right? Because if you know that they don't like you manipulating them, do not manipulate them.
I think we've gone down this route. So here, and I saw this question earlier, and you guys will now start to understand why I say a drop off before visit 3 is actually the front desk. If the front desk is delivering to the provider that this patient does not like manipulation, if the front desk is delivering to the provider that this person does not like to stand in the gym and do exercises alone, and the physio, I'm going to go to physio, does that on the first visit, we're going to be looking for a new physio. Because the front desk said, here's what you need to start a successful relationship with this patient that is going to lead to a completed plan of care. This is how the front desk plays into a completed plan of care and sets the provider up for success and prevents drop-offs. If someone says they don't like to be manipulated and they get manipulated by whoever on the first visit and then they fall off the schedule, whose fault was that? The front desk for not finding it out and delivering that.
Wow. That was gold. And what's interesting is that if you think about the value of a customer, of a patient, what is that? $1,000 in the US? It's probably like $5 to $1,000 in Canada as well.
Yeah.
Every one of these patients that you don't book, it is $500. It's $1,000, right? So
I would say the people that you do book who drop off on visit 1 or 2, right there, that's all lost, because that should have been a slot with someone who would have completed a plan of care.
So the question is that if this phone call is worth $500, is it worth it for you to spend the extra like 3 to 4 minutes to get their story and not rush it? Because
call length, and I think we might have battled on this in the past. Call length is the most misunderstood and misvalued metric also. I've never told anybody shorten your calls. We make them more efficient, but I don't.
So Jerry, on your, I have CallHero stats, so I know the numbers, but
correct.
For the clinics you coach, like what's the average call length typically?
I'm gonna go with getting through this information.
Yeah.
Okay. With getting through this and getting where we need to be and getting people scheduled.
Yeah.
So they're booked, 7 minutes.
Yeah. And when I look at, we've analyzed 2 million phone calls at CallHero. I would say the average like length it takes to close a phone call is roughly about 5 minutes, right? And so, and what I've seen with the bigger clinics, when you start running these multidisciplinary clinics where you actually have like maybe more than like 3 staff, you can start like having focused roles where certain people, all they do is just convert and book patients, and that's the person you could put on a 90-day challenge, and everyone else, get them to do all the other stuff like the check-in, like the billings, or like walk the patient to the rooms and all the other stuff, right? So if you have more than 1 or 2 front desks, you can start having specialized roles, right?
Oh, have to. Yeah. This is hiring for the right fit, Rick.
Yeah. One thing I really like here, and I don't know who this is because they don't have their name, but this person says, I want a multidisciplinary clinic, physio, chiro, massage, naturopath, and so what they do is they turn that phone call into a discovery call, right? If they can't book it in, which I like. So what that means is if that patient is not going to book with you, then schedule like a free consultation, or schedule like a discovery call. And if you could get them, to actually, come to your clinic and you have the right scripts, you should be able to convert 80% of those discoveries into assessments. Like that's gold. So thanks for sharing that. That is awesome. Oh, Corrine. Good job, Corrine. That is gold. And if anyone that running workshops, same thing, like it's a lot easier to get people to like book a free consult or a discovery session. And then, like I said, if you could convert those ones, 80% of them will turn into assessment. Okay. Cool. All right, let's move on. We got a long list. We talked about this. It's the difference between a transactional versus a relationship. So if your grandma was to call your clinic, what conversation would you have with your grandma? Right? Actually, one last thing in here, Jerry, we didn't talk about is when you talk about price, right? And what word do you use, right?
Yeah. So write this down, value before price. So when someone calls and asks how much does it cost, say, I can get you that. I acknowledged. I can get you your cost, Rick. And then I go on to ask a permission-based question. Yet what I would like to do first is to find out what you need from us. So we're back to that same thing. So I'm going to get their story so I can insert value. And they say, no, I don't want to share my story. I want the price. I give them the price. Yeah. And by the way, that's going to be a short phone call. So I call it, how do you want to pay? I never ask people about their insurance unless they say, do you take my insurance? Which
so when you ask that question, how do you want to pay for this? How do most people respond typically?
I love this. This is my favorite. How most people respond is like this. In the States, oh dude, south of the border, when you ask people, so Rick calls and says, I want to schedule physio for my low back pain. So I take them through this whole process and we get them scheduled. And we're about 5 minutes into the call, and he hasn't mentioned how he wants to pay. Well, I'm running a business here. I have to pay employees. So I want to know how he wants to pay. So then I say, so Rick, how is it you want to pay for your physiotherapy? And this is what I get as a response. You do take my insurance, don't you? And I say, why, yes, we do, Rick. I'm setting the mindset that this place is different. This isn't your regular call. I just made the whole thing about you, and I'm not going to ask you about your insurance because you didn't tell me how you want to pay. I did 7 secret callers last week in the States. Every one of them, I started the conversation with, hi, my name is, I want to schedule physical therapy for my low back pain. Within 3 questions, everybody asked me what insurance I had. I was getting so frustrated, I actually had to stop doing calls because by about the 5th call, I wanted to say, ask me how I want to fucking pay. Maybe I want to use my fucking cash, but nobody ever asked me that.
So Jerry, let's just say, like, you know, in Canada, it's a little different, but it's still, I think still this is a very valid question, is that, like, at the end of it, you showed your value, like you talked to them like they're your grandma. In the very end, you ask them, how do you want to pay for this? And then they ask you, like, is this covered by this insurance, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then what would you, and let's just say it's not covered, what would you say?
Oh, so it's not covered. Well, because I wouldn't, so if we don't take insurance, let's say there's no insurance involved, I wouldn't ask them how they want to pay for it then. The how do you want to pay is because where I've been, they have options, and there are clinics that don't have options. So I would still, at that point.
Actually, you know what? Actually, let me give you a scenario. So the scenario, I'm going to use Ontario because we have a lot of clinics in Ontario.
Okay.
So let's just say it's a senior citizen that has OHIP, which is a government funding, right? It's only provided for like the seniors people. And let's just say maybe like this clinic doesn't accept that, right? You know,
Okay.
right? So how would you convert this like government senior, and I think in the US is Medicaid, right? You know?
Right.
How do you convert the Medicaid or OHIP or like Alberta Health Services or like an MSP into a private paying patient, you know?
Right.
Like, what would you say?
So at that point in time, if okay, how do you want to pay? Well, I have this. Well, okay, Rick, here at ABC Physiotherapy, I need you to understand that we aren't contracted. I would say we aren't contracted, by the way, with whatever the insurance is, right? ABC insurance. And I would say, let me tell you why. And I would reiterate, this is important. I wouldn't, what everybody says, so everybody says, we don't take it because they don't pay us well. You on the other end of the phone don't give a fuck what I get paid.
What's your language, Jerry? We're like,
you guys are Canadian.
I'm sensitive.
You guys want to make sure, right? The person on the other end of the phone, you just made this whole phone conversation about them. So don't go into a tirade about why you don't take the insurance on business principle. Listen, Rick, what I need you to understand is we're not contracted with ABC Insurance because this will not allow me and my clinic to get you back to, right, get their goals. I'm going to repeat back to Rick the goals. And by the way, by the time we get to this point of the conversation, I've already told Rick, I've given him social proof and individual proof that he's called the right place. And I'm going to say, Rick, we don't take this because I cannot deliver the care that I just told you, the results, getting you back to your 18 holes of golf and picking up your grandchild pain-free. I cannot deliver the care and the level of care I would need to deliver to you if I took that insurance. So let me tell you what the cost will be to you, and let's figure out how to get this done for you.
Okay,
so
cool.
Everybody, when I do this on Secret Callers, everybody wants to tell me the business reason they don't take the insurance, right? You've got to make it about them, because if I took this, I can't get you back to playing golf. Yet we've established that I'm the right place, that you called the right place. So let's have.
And you brought up a good point, because what they're not coming here for physio, chiro, or peds or whatever it is. What you want to find out is, like, why did they really even pick up the phone call? Because they want to play golf, or like they want to swim again, or they want to be able to like play with their grandchildren, right?
Nobody has ever called a provider for low back pain. They've called for a result they desired. And you could write get their goals, get the result they desire. If you
Okay.
don't know that, you'll never sell them.
That's awesome. Okay, let's move on. Was this helpful, guys? Like, type yes or no. Like, we went really deep here, but I think it's very, very important when we went through this.
Don't
right?
get caught up in the bad language. I got a research article that shows people use curse words are more authentic and have more security.
You could take a screenshot of this. These are some of the open questions you could say instead, like what happened? What have you done? How do you feel, right? What kind of care have you received in the past that has helped you?
Expectation right there. Number 4 is the
This,
expectation.
these questions will,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I get excited. These are good questions.
Yeah, these questions allow them to tell their story versus, hey, how can I help you? Hey, like, let's book that physiotherapy session. You know, let's talk about your insurance coverage, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And here, like, part of this call is showing empathy, right? When they tell you something that is tragic, you say, oh my God, this must be super frustrating. Like, Sharon, I'm so sorry here, you're in pain. Oh, you're not alone. We hit many clients like you that have sciatica as well. Like try to show some empathy and social proof back into your business, right? This is how, like, you should be training your front desk with using conversations, right? Do you like this, Sharon?
Yeah, real quick, let me give them one more kicker, one big takeaway. Take that you're not alone, Sharon. We've helped many clients in your situation, social proof, period. Next words out of your mouth. And I have just the person here who can help you, Sharon, with this.
Oh, that is gold. Who likes that?
Individual proof. Hopefully everybody wrote that down or it's recorded.
Okay.
Yeah, add the individual proof to the end of that and you're gold.
Cool. Like I said, show social proof. You know, John has helped lots of clients with this problem, right? You know, you come to the right place. You are the specialist in blah, 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 right? I don't know what happens, but John always, patients leaving John ends up smiling and feeling great after seeing him. That's even better because most front desks actually don't know what goes on in the room. And so you say, I don't know what he does, but whatever he does, patients just end up leaving and smiling and getting to do what they love to do again, right? It's kind of like a Pandora's box.
You're decreasing uncertainty in that conversation. You got to clear down uncertainty.
People take a good screenshot of this. I can move on. Yes or no? Move on. All right. That means yes. Let's move on. Okay. That's cool. The other thing too, at the end of the appointment, I don't like asking, hey, I don't like giving them like a yes or no question.
No
like,
way.
Can I schedule you an appointment? Yes or no? Of course, you got a 50% chance like that they're gonna say no. So instead is like offer them 2 options, option A, option B. Monday 1 p.m. or Tuesday 2 p.m. You know, you're gonna have a higher conversion rate. Is this making sense, everybody?
Even if you're staring at a completely white screen, do this.
Yeah. And then here's the hardest part. You gotta train your front desk team. When they offer the 2 options, they gotta zip it, and they just wait. You know that awkward silent moment that no one likes to like speak. You know, you gotta get. And you got to get the patient to actually give the time, right? So is this helpful? If it is, like, if this is making sense, type yes in the chat, please. Cool. Okay. All right. I'm gonna write what you wrote down there, Nick. That's another good question for multidisciplinary clinics, but we'll save that at the end because that we don't lose a flow. Number 4, how do you easily train your team when you don't have time? So this is my favorite. This is my favorite part. You know. So let me ask you, when was the last time you trained your front desk team on phone scripts? Maybe just type in the chat. 30 days, 60 days, 1 week, never. I don't know. Right? I don't know is an answer too, or I don't. Never. Okay, 30 days, 1 week, 1 week. Today. I like that one. Never, never, never.
Today and all wrong. I like the today and all wrong, apparently.
Okay, constantly. Good. Kubu, nice. Becoming a regular thing. Good job, Steph. When they first start, yeah, most people do the training in the very beginning and then they never do it again, you know, right? So Jerry, like what type of like training frequency do you recommend?
When you first start training on this, I personally recommend working with people, do weekly.
Okay.
For about 6 to 8 weeks, I do weekly on the front on this conversation we're having right now. I do 6 to 8 weeks weekly.
Yeah.
have a set agenda, and then we start to increase from there.
Yeah. Once again, guys, we talked about this on this webinar. We talked about the metrics. Once you have the metrics, you can actually, like keep them accountable to the 90-day challenge. You're meeting them weekly, and part of the weekly is actually role playing and going through phone scripts. And ideally, you actually want to listen to some of these phone calls so you can review it with them and make sure that it's good, right? So if that makes sense. So let's use this scenario. Like this is a clinical Alpine Health, and so if you look at this screen here, this is a CallHero dashboard. Like this clinic got 3,000 phone calls last month. It's answering 95% and it's booking 73%. But if you break down like each like front desk person, you got Leanette, Gabby, Elsa, Kelly. What do you see here? Like what would you on this dashboard? What would you do at your next weekly meeting? Maybe type in the chat. Like, who would you work on? Fire Elsa, right? Yeah, like, when we don't have a lot of time, like, oh, I like this one. Kelly shares her secrets with Elsa, right? So if you don't have a lot of time, you don't have to train everybody, right? Just train the lowest performer, or do exactly what Luke said. Get Kelly to work with Elsa, right? Awesome, Bola. Acknowledge Kelly. If Kelly's crushing it, Kelly's converting at 82%. What would your business look like if your average booking rate is 82%? Can you create a 90-day challenge for Kelly? Give her some metrics. What do you think, Jerry? You like that?
I freaking love it, dude. Love it.
Cool, right? And here's the thing is that like part of this is that like, if Elsa's not doing a good job, like on your weekly meetings, whether you or Kelly, you should start listening to these phone calls and find out why they didn't book, right? And whether you're using their phone scripts, and you could coach them through and do role play, right? You can meet weekly, but one feature I've been calling here was like you could actually just go and you could pop a message to Elsa and say, hey, Elsa, can you try this script? Hey, Elsa, like, good job. Or in Kelly's situation, good job, Kelly. Give like a nice, like a little emoji for Kelly, right? So I like the constant training so you don't have to wait every single week. If you listen to a bad call, flag it right away, send a message. Right, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. So this is the last point. The last point is, how do you win back lost patients who say, I will call you back, right? Or the people that call you and you miss that call and you didn't leave a voice message, right? So I want to go through this like concept of a call funnel, right? So all of us know this already. We spend a boatload of money on marketing, so we're driving phone calls, right? So marketing is driving phone calls, and then and then the first step in this call funnel is, are we answering these phone calls? Are we answering 95% or are we answering at 70%? And what's astonishing is that, people, I would say that most clinics are missing about 300 phone calls a month, yet they're spending all this money trying to fill up more phone calls, yet they don't even know this number. And so the opportunity here is that for every one of these phone calls that are missed, call them back, right? Who right now is calling back missed callers? Type yes or no in the chat. Let's see. Nope. It's kind of half and half, right? Yes, yes, no, no. Yeah. If this patient is worth $500, are you going to start calling them? Right? And yes, not all the phone calls are going to be like new patients, but like I would make this part of like your front desk like challenge metrics. Let's get them to call it back, right? And so once again, like in this call funnel, you've answered them, but not all of them are new patients. Like roughly about 10 to 15% of your phone calls are opportunities, right? And then, if you're like most average clinics, you're probably booking at 60%. If you're like the clinics that are crushing it, you're probably 85%, right? But all those patients that don't book yesterday, how many people are calling them back to win them back? This is easy money, everybody. Yes or no? Type in the chat.
Every one of them. 100% of those people should.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. Right? Call them back. This is easy money, everybody, you know? And if you tie in a 90-day challenge or a compensation plan to your front desk, they'll do it for you, right? It makes sense, right? Cool. So we're talking about win back lost new patients, right? And here's the script. It's super simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Win back script. Hi, this is Jim. I'm a physio, chiro. I'm a front desk at ABC. You called us yesterday. Are you still in pain? What happened? Use Jerry's flow again, like get them to talk again, right? Whether it's a lost patient or whether it's a lost patient that didn't book or it's a new patient that you've missed. And here's a pro tip. For all the Canadians out there that run a clinic and you actually have like independent contractors, I will make this part of the clinician's agreement to get them to call back like these patients, you know, because you're going to double your conversion rate if you get a clinician to call them back. Is this making sense? You know, like as an independent contractor, like make them call new patients that don't book, you know, as long as you make it set that from onboarding, it's going to be okay. Cool. Who likes this script? Type yes or no. And some of the numbers that we've seen is you get roughly about a 30%. If you get a clinician to call these winbacks, you'll probably get a 30 to 40% conversion rate. If you get a front desk, it'll probably be 20, right? So, yeah, Rhonda. For $500, would I call them back? I will, okay? Here's Shafiq. Shafiq, owner of Athletes Care. He has 20 locations in Toronto. Last month he did close to $58,000 in winbacks. This has nothing to do with answer rates and booking rates. This is just winbacks, this feature we have in our system, right? You know, you got, you know, like here's some of these numbers. Like if you look at his 20 clinics, you know, some clinics are doing 10,000, some clinics are 4,000, but the average clinic is doing roughly about close to about $35,000 to $4,000 a month in winbacks. And then you got Karen Craven from Saskatchewan. Do we have anyone from Saskatchewan here? Who knows Karen Craven? She's awesome. Karen Craven started CallHero last week, and with her starting, she just did 25 in 1 week. She did $2,500 in winbacks.
That's someone's salary, dude.
What's that? Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's like paying salary right there.
Yeah, like look at this. This is her numbers, and I asked Karen to share this because like this is amazing. This is the last 7 days. You know, last 7 days, she's answering 98%. You know, she's
That's
booking
huge.
88%. Her clinic gets 2,000 phone calls in a month, everybody. She's only missed 7. You know how dialed this is, right? Exactly, Joanna. Dang. If you have these numbers, you could do something. And like in 1 week, she won back $2,500 in winbacks, right? You know, Aaron Lambauer, who's heard of Aaron Lambauer? Aaron Lambauer is also like, he runs a cash-based small practice like in North Carolina, you know? Like last month, he did $5,600 a month in winbacks, right? You know, look at his clinic. He doesn't get that much phone calls because sometimes I hear like, well, I'm a small clinic. I don't get a lot of phone calls. You know what? It doesn't matter whether you're a small clinic or a big clinic. It's still $500 or $1,000, right? Look at him. He had revenue gains of $5,600, right? Yeah, his answer rate sucks, but this is back to your original question, Nick. You know, like, your challenge is that if you want to have 1 or 2 admin people, you can't actually know when to staff your front desk, right? So let's talk about that like in the Q&A, right? So we'll talk about that, what we could do for the smaller clinics that only have 1 front desk, but either way, like he's going after the winbacks and he could list in these winbacks, and now he could use CallHero as a reporting mechanism to bonus out his front desk. And by the way, if you want similar results, whether you're a small or big clinic, I built CallHero just for you, right? And you can easily measure, train your team to dramatically convert more phone calls into patients, right? And you don't have to rely on marketing, right? So if you like what you see today, I want you to book a demo, right? You know, so just go see CallHero, right? And on there, like, you're gonna fix this part of the new patient journey. How can I get more phone calls into assessments, right? And this is how CallHero works. You're gonna answer more calls with real-time metrics. You know, Alpine Health, 94% answer rate, 65% booking rate. You're gonna book more calls with phone scripts, you know? And a lot of the scripts that Jerry talks about, you can start seeing whether it actually converts and which front desk actually needs more work and which people you should bonus out, right? You're going to win back lost patients who didn't book with you. Tie that back into your 90-day challenge. You're going to win back missed callers that didn't book with you. Everything is about accountability. So if you're going to pay people bonuses and you want to structure compensation plans, you want to make sure that the numbers are accurate, right? And then this feature is coming out next month. We're going to start measuring your marketing effectiveness. So if you're going to be spending on Facebook, Google, like ads, we're going to start telling you those those like marketing channels, how many phone calls are you actually getting and how many are actually booked. So you'll actually know whether, how much it costs you to get an assessment in. Like how freaking cool is that? You know, we got tons of clinics. We got physio clinics, chiro clinics. We got dentist clinics. We got massage clinics. Canada, the US, you know, like look at Allison here, like she's made $2,500 a month with CallHero, right? Raj, you know, he says like he likes tracking his front desk phone performance across his 3 clinics. You know, here is Lindsay, like, you know, like she's like the office manager, like it helped her boost her confidence where the phones actually she used some of these skills to improve her dating life too, right, Jerry?
Yeah, dude. That's a conversation I've had with my front desk training, dude. People say it helped me
Yeah.
with my communication skills.
Yeah, and then Suman here is like, now I could finally hold my front desk accountable, right? So guys, here's the link, you know, book a demo. Julian's gonna take really good care of you, right? And so, but long story short is like some people are thinking, well, I don't have a budget, right? You know, but once again, like shift that money from marketing in here, you know, and shift that marketing so they could pay your front desk more, right? And you're probably thinking, well, it's going to take a lot of extra work, but you're spending all the extra work for marketing and like you're spending all the extra work to drive new traffic, but why not use it to be able to like incentivize?
I like when people don't want extra work to make more money. That baffles me all the time.
Yeah. It bothers me too. And then if you're thinking like, I don't get a lot of phone calls. Well, Aaron LeBauer doesn't get a lot of phone calls and he's still making an extra $5,600, right? So most of you have you guys have 3 choices right now. You could do nothing, waste the last hour. You could do everything, but do it manually. And that's okay too, because some of you may not have the budget and I'm fine with that, but just make sure you do something. And number 3 is you could take a leap of faith. And like, you know, the best thing about CallHero is if you don't like this stuff in the next 30 days, like, you know, like you can refund your money, you know? And so my question to you is, will you spend 30 minutes each week to get an extra 5 new patients a week? So Julian here, when you book a demo, like Julian's, I can show you how Winback works, how these call metrics work. And here's the link. Once again, you could go in there and book a demo with Julian. And then our next thing is that this front desk phone checklist, I'm going to put this on here right now, everybody. And so on here, you're going to get this, okay? This is everything that Jerry talked about. It's actually on here. Okay. It has a lot of the scripts. It tells you kind of what to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's on there as well.
It goes through every one of them and tells you
it goes through every single one. It has some of the scripts as well. And what else is there? And I think that's it. So let's take this up for like, we have an extra 10, 15 minutes. So I want to do maybe Q&A, whatever people are stuck with. Actually, let's go. Yeah, let's go back to the next question. So the next question was like the challenge he has, and I'll repost this, right? Is this one.
It did? Wait a minute. Why'd you get a 404 with my link?
Oh.
It's front desk, not desk front. Jerry Durham. Here, I'll type it in.
Oh.
See?
Okay.
Desk front.
Oh, I see.
I'll type it. You get the question. I'll get that.
Okay. All right. So the question, Jerry, is one challenge is how do you juggle like answering the phones when you only have one admin like on staff?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think there are a couple options for you, and flat out, you got to get this right. There's a time when you're starting out when the phone needs to be answered, and then when you're really rocking it, the phone needs to be answered, as that one woman you showed, right? I would look into separating out the tasks that need to be achieved, something like a virtual assistant or something. That front desk person is doing tasks that someone else should be maybe paid half of what they're making could get done, so that that person could be answering the phone calls. And plain and simple, number one, you have to measure it to know what phone calls are being missed. And then you got to break the tasks down to get that phone answered. That's plain and simple.
That's a good response. So Nick, my suggestion to you is that like, you know, is when you like, you know, whether you use CallHero or maybe you could track it manually, find out when you're missing most of the phone calls, right?
Yeah, you got to track it.
And then based on that, that's when you actually put your main admin to work on those main times, right? And then the other times you're missing, you may have to start calculating, is it worthwhile for you just to get someone to spend an extra like couple hours, like a couple hours there, right? Or maybe use that virtual reception service based on like the hours that have the least amount of traffic. Does that help, Nick? Okay, and then
Nate, you know the answer to that question.
What does the Nate say? Is it okay to use our virtual assistant to direct the calls, or should we have a live person answer each call?
I'm gonna go with the live person.
Yeah. So staff your best people that do the best during your busiest hours. We have this one clinic. He gets about 3,000 phone calls, right, each month, and before he started CallHero, he didn't know that Mondays, you know, that long weekend Monday, the long weekend Friday, he'll be missing 100 phone calls on that long weekend Monday. So he would shut his business down, right? And so once he realized this, like he started analyzing his like phone call patterns, he started, you know what, it's worth it for me to pay someone time and a half to go on the holiday money because I'm losing money off the phone.
That's huge. That's huge. And that comes with the metrics and the accountability and knowing what's going on at that front desk, Rick. Huge.
Hey, Kylie Swale has any recommendations of virtual reception? I don't have any, I haven't used it, but Nick, do you have any recommendations, or anyone in the community right now? Maybe type in the chat if you have any recommendation and whether you like them or not, you know, so whether it's helped you. Smile Dog. Nick, what do you think about Smile Dog? Are they good? Are they, I think they're out in Nova Scotia, right? What would you give them out of 10 in terms of in terms of they are in our building? what would you give Smile Dog out of 10? 8 out of 10. Biggest challenges are ours. Okay. Kyle, I think your clinics are big enough. I think you just got to figure out when you're missing these phone calls, and I would just staff your clinics accordingly, right? You know. How many times is it reasonable to do a call back to the same person? What would you say, Jerry? Doing these win back calls?
Depends. Well, if it's a win back versus a drop off versus a cancel.
Both. Oh, let's do that first. Let's do a win back. How many times?
I'd call them back probably 3 times.
Wow, you're so American. Okay, so I'm Canadian. I'll probably do it twice.
Yeah.
Okay, what about for a fall off? So someone that's self-discharged, how many times would you call them back?
You know what? I'm going to call them back probably 3 times, but my script for the third call is pretty passive aggressive. So I'm pretty Canadian on that one, dude.
Okay, so okay. And what about for the no show and cancel?
The no show, the cancel, same thing. I'll do the 3. And you know, it's interesting, really, and I know people who train, and you can't argue with this. Some people call until the person actually calls and says, quit calling me. And so this is the way those ones I said I leave a message. The third one is so, you know, we made a commitment to you and your doctor committed you to us. So we will let your doctor know that you have dropped off and have not made contact with us. So that is what I do with the MD referrals. And then the other ones, I leave it pretty, you know, hey, we're here to help you. Unfortunately, this didn't work out, obviously, for us and you. yet we want to be a resource for you at any time. Feel free to call us back. And every one of those phone calls is documented. In my company, we have to be the last touch. We have to be the last touch. I never want to see that someone called and canceled and never got a call back from us.
Okay, cool. And what for the, I'm just curious, for the no shows, right, and cancels, like what is your opening line? Like your phone script. Like what do you use?
Line of the phone script for those?
Yeah, for the no shows and cancels.
Yeah, it pertains to their plan of care, by the way.
Okay.
So everybody, if someone was there for 3 visits, they had goals they wanted to achieve in their plan of care, and the conversation is around them, not us. So this is what I love. American clinics, when you call to cancel, they love to threaten you with money. And I'm like, people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You've got to make it about them. Make it about them. The no-show and cancels have to be about them. Hey, we're calling because we're concerned, because we know you're working with, your physio, Jerry Durham, and we know you're working towards those goals of getting back to 18 holes of golf and picking up your grandchild pain-free. And we know you're making progress. And so we might say that so-and-so, Jerry, asked us to give you a call, or we might have Jerry do the call, because remember, Jerry owns the relationship here.
Yeah.
So
I love that. And Luke actually had a good recommendation, question here. Like, should the therapist do the final call?
It depends where they were in their journey again. And this is what it's come down to. If you understand everybody's role in your client's experience, then you, Luke, will know who owned that relationship, and they are in charge of making that decision.
Right.
So if it's after, so we'll say after, about visit 2, it's up to the provider to decide who makes the call.
This is interesting. I've learned something from you, Jerry. So what you're saying, that if it's 3 visits or more, you get the therapist to do, but anything that is less than 3, like so 1 and 2,
pretty much going to be on the front desk. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, interesting. Wow, that's awesome. That's great. All right, so we're gonna wrap up now. So before we jump off, I wanna find out from everyone, what was the biggest takeaway they had today and they're gonna implement, like starting next week when they go back to their clinic? Type in the chat. What is your biggest takeaway from today that you're gonna implement next week? Because let's not waste the last hour and a half together if you're not gonna do anything. 90-day challenge, metrics, right? Oh yeah, there you go. Start by metrics. CallHero, nice. What else?
Call back missed calls.
Call back missed calls. Training. Win back metrics. Training. Finbacks. What's finback? Oh, winbacks. Bonuses.
Yeah, exactly.
Practitioner doing winbacks. Yes, Laura. Tell Wendy to do that, and get Wendy to give you a raise too. What else is there? Bola, more training. Luke, 90-day challenge. Jerry's vocabulary is also pretty impressive, right? Laura, I'm on it. Nice. Just tell Wendy that I approve.
Leanne, I like that.
Relationship,
not commodity.
Not the commodity. Rewarding front desk. Yeah, let's find a way. Like, move your marketing budget to your front desk budget. Turn them into like more patient experience or sales oriented, right? Cool. Love this. Okay. Just want to thank everyone for attending. And if you haven't booked the demo with CallHero, it's now. And hopefully I will see everyone soon. If you're in the community, I'll see you in the community calls. If not, we'll see you in the next webinar, right? So thank you, Jerry. And for everyone, if you want to get a hold of Jerry, where is that?
GaryDurhamPT.com /front desk. Yeah, and it's just your way to keep in touch with me. If I don't send out very many emails, I do the front desk training. I'm rolling out a couple other products. I may be doing some training with people who use CallHero, because I have found this is totally unscripted, my bias. I have found Nick, when I train people who are using CallHero, they have success far more quicker. So I'm going to be rolling out training for people who are using CallHero also.
Wow, you guys rock there. Once again, if you didn't download the Jerry checklist, I'm going to email it to everyone again. It's going to take me a bit of time to cut up this webinar. So if you want to watch again, we're going to cut it up. Hopefully I'll send it early next week. Plus we'll send Jerry's checklist, right? So hopefully have that on there. But Jerry, I want to thank you for coming. And Jerry, what's your Instagram? Like, what's your Instagram handle? Maybe people could follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, I share a lot of stuff there. Jerry Durham PT.
Okay. Yeah.
Facebook, Jerry Durham PT.
All right, Jerry
Twitter,
Durham.
Twitter, Jerry Durham PT.
All right, Jerry is great. He does one of the modules with Paul Goff, BGS. What's BGS?
Business Growth School.
Okay, cool, cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
look at that slide. I mean, you want to know my bias? Look at those top 3 posts on Instagram. Because you don't understand your front desk relationship in the client lifecycle. That's why you're losing.
Okay.
I've hung out with Rick for a little while.
I love it. Happy patients, happy employees. So front desk, like patient experience, staff experience, they go hand in hand, right? You can't have both.
Can't
So,
separate them.
okay. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.